Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to completely rethink what it means to raise a confident child. We'll be unpacking the actual mechanics of how a child's self-worth truly forms from the ground up. How we can foster genuine, deep-rooted resilience instead of just fragile self-importance. It's a totally fascinating journey into the inner world of kids, so let's get right to it. Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle the narcissism misconception. Then we'll move on to building genuine self-worth, followed by choosing resilience instead of fragility, and finally, parenting for secure confidence. All right, starting with part 1, the narcissism misconception. We're going to kick things off by fundamentally shifting how we look at challenging and demanding behaviors in children. So what is narcissism really? Well, when most of us hear the word narcissism, we immediately picture pure arrogance, right? Vanity, or just someone who desperately wants to be the center of attention at all times. And hey, that picture isn't entirely wrong, but it's definitely incomplete. The reality is actually so much more vulnerable than what we see on the surface. It's not that they love themselves too much, it's often that they secretly fear they aren't enough. Think about it like a house with this gorgeous, super impressive front door, but a completely shaky foundation. From the outside, it looks incredibly strong, but the second the structure gets stressed, it wobbles. So these traits, the constant demands for admiration, the intense need for control, the instinct to always blame someone else, they're really just emotional armor. They are desperate, frantic attempts to keep a fragile structure standing and protect the child from feeling deep, deep shame, or feeling completely unseen by the world around them. And this brings us to a really crucial difference. It's kind of like comparing a sturdy oak tree to a delicate glass vase. Now, at first glance, a demanding child might seem super confident, but true, healthy confidence, just like a deeply rooted tree, can bend in the wind without actually breaking. A genuinely confident child can hear no, they can tolerate limits, and they can even bounce back from embarrassment. Fragile self-importance, on the flip side, is exactly like that glass vase. It literally shatters under pressure because it's built on load-bearing insecurity. It totally depends on feeling special just to feel safe. Okay, moving right along to part 2, building genuine self-worth. Let's dig into how this sturdy, foundational inner house is actually built, day by day. Now, the absolute core of this is the concept of an anchor. A secure child does not need to constantly prove their worth. If a kid absorbs their worth through steady, responsive relationships, they don't have to put on some grand performance just to feel safe in the world. Their inner anchor holds firm. Their worth is just a given, not some prize they have to endlessly compete for. Now, this next part actually surprises a lot of people, but there is a massive, and I mean massive, difference between praising a child and valuing them. Empty, performance-based praise, like just saying, that was good, actually forces a child to bend and twist to chase approval. It's like a plant desperately trying to chase a moving spotlight. Feeling valued, though, that means the child knows they are loved, even when what they did was not good. It gives them a steady, unwavering light that lets them grow straight, calm, and strong. Let's look closely at how different caregiving experiences totally shape a child's worldview. If a kid is only praised when they're impressive, they internalize a really harsh rule: I only matter when I perform. The result? Fragile self-esteem. Now, if they experience shame or humiliation, they learn their core self is fundamentally unacceptable, and that almost always leads straight to defensiveness or grandiosity. And if attention is super inconsistent, they develop this bottomless hunger for validation, feeling like they have to work incredibly hard just to stay relevant. But give them steady care mixed with truthful limits, wow. They learn they can be both loved and corrected. And that is exactly the secret sauce for stable, deeply rooted self-worth. So to actually build that stable self-worth, we're looking at 3 main pillars. First step, accurate mirroring. We need to be trusting adults who provide clear, calm reflections of a child's feelings. None of that distorted carnival mirror stuff where we exaggerate things as entirely perfect or terrible. Second, loving limits. Think of frustration like gravity. It safely teaches emotional balance. A toddler learning to walk is going to tumble and get frustrated, but that safe, predictable resistance is exactly what teaches them how to balance. And third, avoiding shame. We absolutely have to correct bad behavior, for sure, but without ever labeling the child's core identity as bad. Which brings us to part 3, resilience instead of fragility. Now that we've got the foundation of self-worth down, let's explore how a child learns to weather life's storms without immediately reaching for domination or throwing on that emotional armor. Get ready for another huge paradigm shift here. A lot of caregivers think they need to constantly inflate or elevate a kid to protect them from losing or, just feeling ordinary. Things like, you should never feel small, wrong, or disappointed. But inflation actually weakens them. It tries to bubble wrap them from reality, like tying them to a delicate balloon. Validating their disappointment, simply saying, hey, your feeling makes sense, acts way more like a sturdy raincoat. It helps them actually tolerate reality and makes them incredibly resilient against the elements. I am absolutely obsessed with this quote. A perfect bridge never gets used. A strong bridge is one that can carry weight, flex a little, and remain intact. Repair works the same way. Listen, you do not have to be a flawless caregiver. Actually, scratch that. It's impossible. Friction is going to happen. You're going to lose your patience. But coming back to repair the relationship after that friction, that teaches a child something completely invaluable. It teaches them that conflict does not equal abandonment. It proves the bridge of your relationship can carry weight, flex under the strain, and totally survive intact. Think about the beautiful, natural cycle of secure attachment, say, playing out on a playground. First, the child moves out to explore freely. Then, when they get a little overwhelmed or take a tumble, they return to the caregiver to connect for safety. And then, crucially, they recover to build internal resilience. Naming their feelings during this recovery phase, it literally turns their emotional fog into a super clear, navigable map for the future. Let's look at a really practical, everyday example. Consider an 8-year-old named Maya. She shows her parent a drawing, hoping for massive praise, but the parent offers a minor critique instead. The parent then responds to her letdown with, "You wanted me to be more impressed, and it feels disappointing when I notice something to change." Notice what happened there. Instead of inflating Maya by instantly backpedaling and saying the drawing is flawless, the parent simply validates the disappointment. It proves to Maya that her worth doesn't just vanish into thin air the second her work gets corrected. Her disappointment is totally 100% survivable. Okay, moving to part 4, parenting for secure confidence. We are bringing the whole shebang together now to look at the overarching system of secure development and, how to actually apply these concepts in day-to-day life. Ultimately, the big goal here is to completely shift our mindset. We want to move away from just controlling outward behavior and focus on protecting the inner world. We want to create an environment where a fake, false self just isn't needed. How? By providing love without idolization, by offering correction without humiliation, and by guiding them through disappointment instead of constantly trying to protect them from it. Basically, instead of trying to put them in a magical protective bubble to shield them from the rain, we are giving them a solid pair of rain boots so they can walk through the puddles themselves. Now, if you take away absolutely nothing else from this explainer today, please let it be this incredibly powerful summary. Children become secure when love stays present, truth stays clear, and the child does not have to build a false self to feel okay. When love and truth, including real-world limits, exist together, that kid is never going to need to build a fragile, fake self just to feel safe. As we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought to reflect on in your own life and relationships. Are we shielding children from difficulty, or are we supporting them through it? Remember, true resilience isn't the absence of struggle. It is the deeply held, bone-deep knowledge that they can face the struggle, be corrected, be totally disappointed, and still remain entirely whole and loved. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.